Hi everyone. So I'm going to show you guys today how to glaze your textured vessels that you've made. Okay, so we're going to go over a couple of things, and this technique is using an opaque glaze and a sheer glaze, and I'll explain how those work. So in front we have some test tiles and some different glazes that are overlapped, and you can see that it really showcases the nice texture that you guys chose on your surfaces of your vessels. So things that you need to get started. Here's your material list. You need some sort of bisque work. So your pot should be white if you're working with the greenware clay, or it should be orange if you're working with terracotta, and it should have some sort of texture on it. So this was the example I did in that last video for you guys. Next thing you need to do is choose a dark opaque glaze. So the first thing that you're going to do is choose a darker color, and for what we have, darker greens work, a dark brown, dark blue, maroon, or black, or any color that you would consider a really darker color, okay? And that's what we're going to do first. The next thing is deciding to do a sheer color. So you may notice in our glaze cabinets that we have bottles that have the word sheer on them, and these are really good to overlap that darker color. So the sheers that we have, there's a couple different ones over there. So I'm going to do saddle tan today, and saddle tan looks like this. That's our test tile. So it is a lighter color, and it's going to look really nice when it's overlapped on that darker blue decision that I'm making. Okay, so other things that you need: clean water, your glaze brushes, manila paper for your workspace, and some glaze cups. Okay, so step one, we're going to apply our dark opaque glaze over our form, and we're going to let that dry. So I'm choosing a paintbrush. I have my dark blue glaze already mixed into my container, okay? And I'm going to apply the glaze inside where the texture is. So you see it's a little bit different from how I would glaze this normally. I'm really trying to get and push the glaze into all of those little textured areas. So the movement of my paintbrush is a little bit more like stippling. And I'm not going to put the glaze where there isn't any texture. Okay, so I'm just double checking just to make sure that I got glaze into all the textured areas. Looks pretty good. So now I'm just going to let it dry. Okay, so now that your dark opaque glaze layer has dried, now we're ready for step two. So we're going to use some clean water. We're going to wipe away the dark glaze. So I'm using these Potter sponges. They're by the sink. And I'm just going to wipe away the glaze that's on the surface. You can see that dark blue glaze still kind of falls between all that nice texture that you guys put on your pots. Okay, every now and then clean your sponge, okay, and rotate it so that you're not smearing the dirty glaze that's on your sponge onto your pot. So you constantly just want to make sure you're rotating your clean sponge. If you remove some too much, you can let it dry and then always put some glaze back in there. Okay, I'm pretty happy with how that looks. Now I'm going to let it dry. Okay, looks pretty good. Ready for step 3. So now you're going to overlap with your layer of your sheer glaze. So I'm going to choose Saddle Tan. Have some right in my cup here. Nice clean brush. Okay, and you're going to overlap. Go right over what you just did. Just want to make sure that I have everything covered. Looks pretty good to me. Okay, now you also want to let that dry. Okay, 4th step. You want to make sure the bottom is always wiped. So even if you didn't get glaze on there, I'm just going to take my sponge and I'm just going to wipe it anyways. Okay, and now what you can do is you can choose to glaze the inside of this any color that you'd like. So you can choose a color that you've already done. I'm going to choose that dark blue. So that has a little bit of some emphasis from the dark blue that's underneath the Saddle Tan, and then it'll also have a little bit of it right on the inside. I'm going to push a little bit of glaze into the corners of my tripod first. Okay, and then I drag my brush strokes upwards. So you can see I have control by holding it with one other hand. Okay, don't forget the rim of your pot. bit more control when I come inside and meet to the edge versus going around like this. You can see I have a little bit more control over my paintbrush this way. Then I can clean up. Okay, you can choose to do another layer of dark blue on the inside, but other than that, that is how you glaze your textured surfaces. Have fun, you guys.